Hello and welcome to Edison TV. I'm Miłosz Papst, Director at Edison, and today I'm joined by Mr. Murat Koshenov, who's CFO and Deputy CEO of Halyk Bank. Halyk Bank is the leading financial group in Kazakhstan with a diversified presence across retail, SMEs, and corporate banking, as well as insurance, leasing, brokerage, asset management, and lifestyle services. The company serves its clients through a physical network as well as well-developed digital channels offering banking ecosystem services. Murat, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Miłosz, and thank you for having me here.
Halyk has recently reported its interim results, so maybe you can start by summarizing the key highlights from your earnings release.
Yes, indeed. On the August 19th, Halyk Bank reported 6-month results. And among the main highlights, I can say the following outlines. So we see continuation of strong engagement of our clients with our main digital channels. So basically we have two of them. One is retail-focused Halyk Super App, and monthly active users of our Halyk Super App reached 8 million, and monthly active transactors reach 5.6 million by the end of second half of 2025. During the 6 months of 2025, the number of payments and transfers within our Halyk Super App increased by almost 22%, while the amount of payments and transfers increased by 26% over the same period of the last year. The second digital platform is Halyk Online Bank, the dedicated B2B digital banking platform, which is the leading in Kazakhstan. And Halyk Online Bank saw similar robust progress during the 6 months of 2025. The monthly active users reached 3,1300 clients, and monthly active transactors reached almost 230,000 clients during the same period of time. And the number of online bank payments increased by 25%, while the volumes increased by 26% in the first half of this year compared to the same period of the last year. And now probably a few words regarding the financial results for the 6 months. The net profits of Halyk Group increased by 39.4% over the same period of the last year and reached 528 billion tenge. Thanks to increase in lending and transactional businesses and due to the base effect of one-off recognized loss in the first half of 2024, which is related to early repayment of deposits of Kazakhstan Sustainability Fund. The net interest income grew by 27% to the level of 641 billion, and that was mainly due to increase in balances of loans to customers. The overall loan growth increased by 18% during the 12-month period ending on the 30th of June 2025. The retail loan grew by almost 21%, while the SME loan portfolio increased by 21.6%, and large corporates loan portfolio increased by 15.5% on year-over-year basis. The net interest margin actually increased during the first half of this year to the level of 7.2% compared to 6.9% for the first half of 2024. The cost of risk was at the level of 1.4% compared to 1.3% as of first half 2024. We saw good dynamics of fees and commission income, which increased due to the number of clients increase and the growth of their transactional activity. As a result, the net fees and commission income for the 6 months of 2025 increased by over 11% versus the same period of 2024. We continue to show and demonstrate the world-class cost-to-income level, which for the 6 months of 2024 stood at 17.2%, and actually that was decreased from the level of 18.2%, which we recorded for the first half of the last year. And despite the payment of dividends during the first half of 2024, the capital adequacy ratios of the bank remains at very strong level of 18.5%.
Thank you. That's a very helpful summary, and of course, a robust set of results. Now, recent months have brought some clarity on the regulatory side for banks in Kazakhstan. So maybe you can quickly summarize the impact of the new tax code and the minimum reserve requirements on Halyk Bank.
Yeah, during our investors' calls, we were pointing that there are two broader sets of regulatory and taxation changes, which is expected to be introduced during 2025. The first one is excess profit tax. And this is actually the one-off tax which will be applicable for 2025 only. And excess profit tax actually applies for certain profits of the bank, mainly for the income from the state securities. The level of excess profit tax is 10%. And our expectation is that for entire 2025, the expected impact of this excess profit tax would be around 40 billion tenge. The second one is the requirements, which is the minimum reserve requirement, which was introduced by the National Bank of Kazakhstan. And they actually increased the required level in the September of this year. Minimum reserve requirements applies both for local currency as well as the foreign currency liabilities. For tenge liabilities, the increased level is 3.5%, up from the previous level of 0 to 2%. And for foreign currency liabilities, minimum reserve requirements increased from the level of 1 to 3% to 10% level. We estimate that the impact of a new level of minimum reserve requirements for 2025 in terms of net interest margin would be roughly 10 basis points.
Excellent, thank you. And now, looking beyond Kazakhstan, as part of your recent strategic agreement, you've acquired a 49% stake in Click, which is a leading digital payment service provider in Uzbekistan. So maybe you can shed some light on this transaction as well.
Since Halyk Bank entered market of Uzbekistan back in 2019, Uzbekistan remains in the focus of our strategic development. We saw a lot of different aspects which pointed to the fact that Uzbekistan is a strategic fit for Halyk Bank, given the a lot of trades and people interaction between two countries, level of travels from both countries, and very complementary types of economy. That's why, as I said, Uzbekistan was always in the focus of development of Halyk Bank. We has introduced the greenfield operations in Uzbekistan 6 years ago through establishing the universal bank, which is called Tenge Bank. But obviously, we were lacking the larger distribution network in the country. That's why we think that Click company, which is actually the leading payment platform, the company which is actively developing super app with retail clients and having almost 21 million retail accounts, is probably the ideal candidate for Halyk Bank in order to increase strategic footprint in Uzbekistan. According to the agreement which we reached with shareholders of Click back in July this year, is that Halyk Bank would be buying 49% of shares in Click, and in return, shareholders of Click would acquire 49% in Tenge Bank. That's why we would create the strong partnership in Uzbekistan, which would include providing banking services as well as the payment and ecosystem services to retail as well as SME clients in Uzbekistan.
Perfect, thank you. Now, zooming out a little bit, maybe you could give us an overview of the current macroeconomic conditions in Kazakhstan and how these shape Halyk's business performance.
Kazakhstan is showing very strong GDP growth this year. We expect that the real GDP growth for entire year would be expected at the level close to 6%. And that is actually the highest real GDP growth in Kazakhstan for the last 15 years. We see that there are two main drivers of such growth. One is the completion of expansion project at Tengiz, which is the largest oil field in Kazakhstan. And the second factor is the government-driven capex and infrastructure investments. On the flip side, the continuation of fiscal stimulus this year, as well as the long-needed correction of utility tariffs, having its impact on inflation. And we see that the annual inflation for 8 months is standing the level 12.2%, which is relatively high, of course. And we see that the national bank, in order to contain the inflation, is also increasing the policy rate. The policy rate in Kazakhstan is called base rate of the National Bank of Kazakhstan, and currently the level is standing at 16.5%.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And finally, I also wanted to ask you about consumer lending, which has been growing at a fast pace in Kazakhstan. The local regulator has recently introduced some measures to curb this growth. But still, if you look at the longer term, it seems that there is ample room for structural growth in the coming years, coming from favorable demographics, low unemployment, and the rise of the middle class. So what growth prospects do you expect for Halyk's retail loan book in the coming years?
Indeed, given the strong growth of retail lending by Kazakhstan banks during last few years, and given the increased inflation, it's obvious that the regulators is trying to prevent potential difficulties in terms of the debt service capacity of retail clients. And we see that for the number of years, regulators is trying to tighten regulation in order to make growth of retail loans more sustainable. However, we see indeed the structural positive like demographics. We see that due to young age of population, there will be increasing number of young people which is coming to the working age. We see that the strong GDP growth is increasing the production level, which would also require the increasing workforce. At the same time, we see that there is need not only for unsecured loans, but also loans which is secured and which is also part of our retail portfolio and growth strategy. It's mortgages and it is auto loans. Saying that we as Halyk Bank is not only focusing on retail, we having actually very strong position in large corporate space, as well as very strong position, growing position in SME lending. And given the fact that economy requires substantial investments going forward, we also see good prospects for Halyk Bank in terms of growing our loan portfolio, not only in retail space, but also in the large corporates as well as SME clients.
Murat Koshenov, CFO and Deputy CEO of Halyk Bank. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.